Good morning. My name is Scott Hartman, and I sing in the choir. I was asked to just share a little bit about what it means to me to sing in the choir. I think after that anthem, you know that means a lot, and you know the impact that a song can have. And I'm sure every member up there has a unique story of how they came to sing in the choir. I used to sing in a men's ensemble a few years ago, Bay Voices, and Dale had heard us, and one September, I guess it was in 2019, she had asked the ensemble if anyone would like to join for the Christmas Eve service that year. And a couple of us did. As often is the case, you know, the church choir can kind of take an attendance hit during the holiday season, so we joined and had a beautiful service. And then a couple of years later, in 2021, in September, I got an email from Dale asking if I might sing in the Thanksgiving concert. So I was going through my emails, and I found the email that I had sent back to her, and if you don't mind, I'd like to just read a little bit of that to you. Dale, thank you so much for thinking of me. That alone makes my day. I wish I could say that this email was in my spam folder, but alas, it was not. I just hadn't seen it. Let's just say that I'm not good at keeping up with my emails. First, I'd like to say that I would love to sing under your direction, and I would consider it an honor to do so. Second, I'm not sure how strong my voice is these days. I have not been singing much at all. Lastly, Bay Voices starts up next Tuesday evening, and I've committed to sing with them, so Tuesday and Wednesday commitments might prove challenging. Having said that, I think it would benefit me mentally and spiritually to have as much music in my life as possible right now. So I would be interested in hearing about your schedule, et cetera, et cetera. Keep in mind this was in 2021, and we were in the throes of the pandemic. For me personally, I live by myself. And for a little over a year, I had been, working from home, so feeling a little isolated. And right after I had written this email, Bay Voices disbanded. I mean, I know that it sounds like an extraordinary circumstance with the pandemic, and I mean, how many times in your life are you faced with such an event as that, and the struggles and issues that come about? But for me, this opportunity happened to come at a time in my life, quite frankly, when I needed it most. And I've heard it said that God is never late, rarely early. And it would be difficult for me to sufficiently communicate what being a part of this group means to me. It simultaneously lifts my spirit and provides emotional support. And most of all, it inspires me with hope through the music itself, but not only that, just through the corporate experience of working together for a common goal, which is ministry. A couple of weeks ago, if you were here, you probably heard the Maverick Youth Choir visiting and singing a song. And their first song, I was just blown away. I mean, I was deeply moved, felt a stirring in my spirit. And the song wasn't even in English. It was some South African dialect. I had no clue what they were singing, but it reached me on an emotional level. That's the power of music, the power of song. It would be truly dishonest of me if I didn't admit that I probably receive more from the choir than I give. But I'm sure you can understand, or at least I know I believe that a song sung can have an immense impact on someone when it's at that right moment, at the right time, bringing joy, bringing peace, and bringing someone maybe just a little bit closer to the divine. Someone once said that music is candy to the ears. It travels from the ear to the heart and lifts up the soul. Thank you.
Praise God from whom Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vaughn Sigmund. I've had the privilege of being a part of this church since I was baptized myself 26 years ago, back in 1997. I'm sure a lot of you here probably have memories of me being far shorter, running around the church as a youth myself. And I can say that I was blessed to be the definition of a church kid. I mean, I was born and raised. My mom was helping out as the youth minister herself back in the day, and I did all the Wednesday night programs, the faith formations, the VBS, helping with VBS, the middle school youth group, and then eventually into the high school youth group. So I found myself graduating high school with all this involvement as a youth in church, wondering, well, now what exactly happens? Well, thankfully, that very same summer, I was wondering what's going to happen. I was offered the opportunity to come back and volunteer as an advisor for the middle school youth group. Now, having been a member of the high school youth group and now going back to a middle school environment, that certainly was an interesting transition. And as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid, I didn't really know what impact I'd be able to have, right? Would I be the advisor that my advisors were for me at that age? Would I even come close? Would I be able to help foster the environments and relationships that I was able to have myself? And I was really worried about it, and the minister at the time, Gene, said, don't. Because you know what? All the advisors you had back in the day had those same fears, those same concerns, and look at your opinions on them. And I took that leap, I took that jump, and it's hard to believe, but now I've spent more years as an advisor for the youth groups than I'd spent as a youth in them. And this is now my 8th year as an advisor and my 5th helping with the senior high youth group. And it is easily the most rewarding aspect of my church life and my life in general. I mean, seeing these youths grow up in front of your eyes, being able to see them go from freshmen that may be uncertain of themselves, uncertain of their place in life, what even is a faith, what's God, what's a church, why am I here every Sunday night for 2 hours, is it just for fun or is there something more, to then seeing them graduate as seniors with an established faith, with knowing who they are, with knowing that they have a foundation, they have a support system, that there's a family here at Pass-A-Grille Church for them to be a part of. And that certainly goes far beyond me, far beyond any of our adult volunteers, and extends directly to you all as a congregation, and the support that you've continually had to allow me to even have an opportunity now as an adult to still be supporting the group that made me who I am today. So it does take a village to raise a youth, and we have quite a few of them. So the support that this village has provided for all the kids, fortunate enough of myself over the years, has been incredible, and I think it makes us a really big part of what makes this church great. So thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I start, I'll tell you 2 things about me. I am passionate about social justice, and I cry very easily, believing with my brother that we had a birth defect, that our tear ducts were too big. So. But I want to start off by saying hush. Do you hear? God is calling. Everywhere, in families, in churches, in communities, and in our world, there's conflict and division. and sometimes even worse. But still, God is calling, waiting for us to be instruments of peace, love, justice. And my name is Diane Goss. After moving here from Long Island, I spent years without a home church. It was strange because my husband was a retired Presbyterian minister, and I thought my profession as a clinical social worker and a therapist was based on a calling that was rooted in my faith and my values. My work allowed for experiences from Manhattan to the Bronx, working with families from the United Nations to the homeless. My work allowed for many experiences, and as I came here, I don't remember the year, but I remember the day that I decided to join this church. I never had that religious experience of a lightning bolt, but I do remember being struck by the weekly morning opening. No matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you're welcome here. I've been a recipient of the church members who have been volunteers and shared their faith and gifts and time with me. The choir and the music touches my soul. Classes and groups have allowed me to grow, and caregivers who went shopping and delivered groceries during COVID when my husband was terminally ill. Critical for me, the church has given me a meaningful way to put my faith into action. I've been part of our church's ONA group, supporting our decision to be open and affirming to members of the LGBTQ community. I support the racial justice ministry. I will participate in the upcoming workshop by the Lombard Mennonite Peace Center this Friday. And as you may guess, there are many more. Yes, there is work to be done, and there's a place for all of us to participate. The work is meaningful, the rewards are great, and hush, can you hear? God is calling. And for God's sake, and the sake of our neighbors in the world, will you choose to answer the call?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Sally Skaman, and I'm happy to be here this morning talking about volunteering, as I'm extremely passionate about it. I've been coming to Pass-A-Grille Community Church for just a little over a year now. I moved here from Colorado 2 years ago and was all by myself. I didn't know anybody, and I knew I needed to find a church that I could call home. The minute I stepped foot through that door, I knew I had found my home. I have been volunteering in some capacity since I was 13 years old. I was in youth fellowship at my church, and our minister challenged us to go find a volunteer opportunity in the community. So I became a candy striper. Does anybody remember candy stripers in hospitals? So that's what I did. We wore little red and white pinafores, and I loved that job. I delivered mail, I delivered flowers, I filled their watercrafts, I helped visitors, and I helped work in the gift shop. I was proud, and I was a hard-working candy striper all my high school years. And I have never stopped volunteering. I have done it for 52 years with many, many different organizations. When I moved here, I immediately began looking for volunteer opportunities, and I found St. Pete Free Clinic and have been volunteering with them for 2 years now at the outdoor food pantry. Every Monday and Wednesday, I go help load up cars with fresh fruit and fresh vegetables. to those who need food. When I first started doing this, all I could see were the banged up cars that could barely make it through the line, children without car seats, numerous children, and cars filled to the brim because those people lived in their cars. It was hard for me to realize initially that there was so much hardship all around me, right in my backyard. Now I see these people as children of God, struggling, seeking help for food to put on their families' tables. But let me tell you, no matter how hard their life is, they always have a smile for me, and all of them say, "God bless you." I hear "God bless you, Sally" over 100 times per day when I'm there. That is when I know that I am part of something so much bigger, part of God's destiny. Pass-A-Grille Community Church has so many ways to participate as a volunteer. Before I actually joined the church, I asked the pastors what I could do here that would help me to continue on my journey to give back. The first thing I heard my calling was to be part of the outreach ministry. This group of people are so very, very caring, giving, and amazing. They give their time, talent, and money to so many different organizations and truly have a heart for giving. Because of this group, I now have been able to be part of the church council. There I am surrounded by people who live with Christian values and share God's love by giving their time and talent to help make this church a place where everyone feels welcome. Volunteering has a special benefit, and it's called happiness. Something just comes over you when you're doing it. You feel good all over. Helping others is a blessing to those in need, but even more so to me. In 1 Peter 4:10 it says, "God has given you a gift from his variety of spiritual gifts. Be sure to use them to help each other, passing on to others God's many kind blessings." Volunteering allows me to constantly better myself and to grow closer to God. It gives me a new perspective. It makes me less critical and less worried about my situations that I may be in. It enables me to meet people from all walks of life. I moved here 2 years ago not knowing anyone and feeling pretty lonely. And I can honestly say, because of this church and the volunteer opportunities, I have an abundance of new friends and friendships that I cherish. I am the one that is blessed. Someone recently said to me, "Sally, why do you volunteer all the time?" And I said, "Because I'm lucky that I can, and because it's a calling from God. I feel it in me, in my heart, and in my soul." It has been over 50 years since I put on that little red and white pinafore, and I thank that youth minister for leading me in the right direction. Thank you, and God bless you.